What's going on, sports gamers? Mike Stroud here with a special treat for everyone. Now, recently I was able to talk with Geoff, the lead gameplay engineer for UFC 3 from EA Sports, about all of the changes and features inside the octagon this time around. Today, we kick off our special mini-series on gameplay discussing transitions as well as submissions in UFC 3 and the feedback that came from the recently concluded beta. Now, if you like this exclusive behind-the-scenes discussion on UFC 3, be sure to like and subscribe to Sports Gamers Online for more great content. Enjoy. Do you feel, or with people like when I polled before our interview, I polled some readers, and one of the things they seemed to, I don't know if it was taken issue with, but one of their gameplay critiques or what have you, was that it seemed like that it took a bit too long in order to actually get a transition while you're on the ground to actually go into effect. A bit too long to break out of the submission, where it seemed like if somebody was on the mount or somebody was on full guard on you, breaking out of that was a lot more difficult than it seemingly has been. Was that increased, or is it the same, but it just seems that way now?
Yeah, so there's, I'll take the submission side of things first, because that's the one place where there were significant changes. We redid how the submission gates work. So in UFC 2, every time you went through a new stage in the submission, it would basically reset to the beginning, and you had a chance to escape. And if you didn't, it would reset on the next one. So none of your progress carried over from stage to stage. Mm-hmm. In UFC 2, we changed it up so that your progress carries over from stage to stage. So there's a little bit more long-term strategizing involved in how to escape. But we didn't really tell people that when they pick up the beta and start playing. So if people start trying to escape submissions in the same way that they were escaping them in UFC 2, they're not going to succeed. You have to attack all the gates early and then narrow down your focus as you get later in the stages. Okay. And on top of that, they were tuned a little too aggressively, so it was too hard to get out of submissions. And on top of that, there was a bug with the AI where the AI was just too good at submission offense altogether. Yeah. So there were definitely problems with the submission balance in the beta. I'd say like half of that we anticipated because we had already addressed it post-beta. But another chunk of it came from consumer feedback, the biggest one being that they didn't pick up on the changes to the meta. Yeah. And I think we need to message better in the game.
Do you find it easier when it comes to gameplay adjustments, especially because with things like betas, which in terms of speaking has been more of a recent new thing for EA to start doing with their sports titles especially, but do you feel it's better to maybe make things too difficult with the beta and kind of scale them back towards the gamers and the players, or do you feel making them maybe a bit too easy and then making them more difficult later on is better? What type of gameplay or development path do you feel kind of better suits making sure what you put out at the end is exactly what you want?
I don't know that either one of those strategies is necessarily best. I mean, what I would like to do is try and target what we feel we want to ship with as closely as possible in the beta so that we can see if we're way out to lunch or not. I think if we went intentionally too hard or intentionally too easy, we're doing ourselves a disservice because we're not getting feedback on what we genuinely think the game should be at the end. And we're also we're in a big time crunch as we're coming towards the end of the product, and we don't have a lot of time to sort of tune things one way, see what happens, tune things another way. We kind of get two cracks at this. One crack to get the beta out there, and then another crack to respond to feedback. So we can't really, it'd be nice if we could throw out like 5 or 6 betas and go back and forth, but that's not the kind of schedule that we're under. Yeah. So we got to get it right the first time, and that's generally the strategy that we try and follow.
Stay tuned for part 2 of our mini-series on UFC 3 as we'll be back with Geoff discussing the changes to the striking system and what it means to how the game feels inside the octagon. For more great sports gaming content, be sure to stick with sportsgamersonline.com.